It's been an absolute car crash for 6 or 7 different reasons across the season. Roy Keane's biting his tongue, his cheek, his nose to say it, but he can't avoid it anymore. It's a special atmosphere.
What do you make of multiple players appealing to the crowd to get up and into the game? Now, bring it up now, because I'm about to touch on the Xhaka and Trent stuff. But what do you make? I think we've seen it a lot, didn't we, Sam, with Konate, Trent himself doing it. I think a few players after incidents were kind of geeing up the crowd a little bit. What do you make of that? Is that a good thing in terms of their showing passion? Does it need to happen?
I think they also realise that this season's been a difficult season for a number of different ways. And you know, like the media can say what they want and our fans who are negative can say what they want, but it's been an absolute car crash for 6 or 7 different reasons across the season, happening again and again and again and again.
Mm-hmm.
And they understand, and other football teams understand the power of Anfield, and that we can win games of football at Anfield just because of what we nearly won yesterday, just purely because of the absolute ruckus atmosphere.
Yeah.
So they know that if we get up, then they can get up, and then it just puts so much pressure and intensity on the other team.
Mm-hmm.
I've got nothing wrong with that, because what that's actually doing is crediting our crowd and our atmosphere, and you saw them reluctantly saying it in the media afterwards. So I think it was Sky Sports were talking about it, and Roy Keane's biting his tongue, his cheek, his nose to say it, but he can't avoid it anymore. It's a special atmosphere. Why wouldn't you tap into that?
Mm-hmm.
And if that helps Trent, sound. If you doing that makes you feel big, and go for it, lad, because you know we all want to be part of it. Nobody wants to go in the game and sit there clapping like you're at the Emirates or like well, not anymore. They're doing all right. But, you know, certain grounds, you know, for Fulham and them, they're not really big ruckus atmospheres. No. So why not?
Yeah,
I'm okay with it.
I think the Liverpool crowd's always been a very sort of reactive one, and people will say about, you know, 12:30 at home to Brentford on a Saturday afternoon, you know, that crowd isn't going to be up for it. We're not going to be. It's not like, I don't know, Dortmund or like Rangers or Celtic, where there's kind of a group of ultras behind the goal and it's a constant backdrop of noise. And to be honest, I don't even think that helps the players that much. If you're playing dreadfully 20 minutes into a game and you've got this sort of drone of a chant going on in the background, like you hear,
like white noise at some point,
literally, like you hear in Europe, then I'm not sure that helps them that much. And then sort of when you do get on the ball a little bit more, or you do get a bit more momentum, then, you know, if the crowd's sort of been singing the whole time anyway, I'm not sure that it makes much of a difference. But it's a sort of a very reactive crowd. And I'm not, you know, I don't mind them sort of in moments getting a little bit more of a burst from the crowd. Say if we get a corner, or whatever, like Trent going over, gets the crowd up, always sort of claps when he goes over for the corner. But it's very much a Liverpool. The crowd in Anfield will always react to what's happening on the pitch. And you know, you see the complete contrast in the atmosphere in the first 30 minutes and the last 60 minutes yesterday.
Yeah, well, we have a certain Granit Xhaka to thank for that. I think Mikel Arteta, part of his. We know last year he had the "You'll Never Walk Alone" playing at his training ground as a way of like preparing his players. I think part of preparing his players for this one, he might have mentioned don't get the crowd angry, don't rile them up, because he did that himself, obviously, with Jurgen Klopp. And this time it was Granit Xhaka. To be fair, if it wasn't going to be Arteta, I think Xhaka was a pretty safe next bet. Somebody to do something a bit stupid. So he has an incident with Trent Alexander-Arnold, and it made the crowd gnarly. It seemed to inspire the players, and obviously you guys are both in the stands. It seemed to get the crowd up for it as well. And did you notice, Sam, an instantaneous reaction from everyone at that moment? Because that was where it turned 2-0 down in the game. Pretty much, well, second best in every department, I think it's fair to say, up until that point. They were the better team. The fans were singing they're going to win the league. Everything was seemingly going against us. And then that happens. Did you notice a change?
Yeah, I did. I mean, I don't think it was quite as... I remember the Arteta one with Klopp. That was like literally a switch turned on.
Lightning rod, wasn't it?
I think there was frustration within the crowd because of the way the game was panning out. But I think... that was definitely a big moment in the game. There was a moment, a couple of... maybe minutes before, where Van Dijk gets booked and there's an opportunity for Verge to do it, and it just shows where his confidence is at. The ball goes wide, I think maybe Martinelli, and it's just a bit in front of him, and if Verge wants, he can take the man, the ball, the lot, and send it into a frenzy. He stops, then half sticks his foot out and fouls him and gets booked. And for me, that was kind of where we were at. I was like, go on, Verge. I was just kept shouting to everyone, smash him, because we needed it for the crowd. I needed to kick Arsenal to realise where they were.
Yeah, Konate does that, doesn't he? Martinelli at one point. Like, just takes everything.
Yeah, exactly. And you saw the uproar. And I think Klopp said it before the game in the press conference, didn't he? Like, you know, it takes the one tackle, it takes one moment. But I'll be honest, and I think that would have happened at some point in the game anyway, because I think our fans were just waiting. It could have been a tackle, a header. Yeah. I think something would have triggered it. The fact that it's Xhaka, I actually feel a bit sorry for him. He's had such a good season. And unfortunately for him, he's going to kind of feel the brunt of that. Whereas actually, it's not on him. They had half time as well, Arsenal. Let's have it right. They had a 15-minute break where we were quiet again. So, but for that moment, for our first goal back, and I do think that little bit of inspiration, and Trent, especially of all people as well, Trent going for it, that helps.
Well, he seems to take it personally, didn't he, Trent? Let's be honest, because from that moment out, his first half an hour, as well as the rest of the side, was questionable. I think it's fair to say he's half involved in the second goal, but from that moment on, he was absolutely outstanding. Let's talk about him now. I won't come on to the goal, actually. Let's talk about Trent, Andy. He was superb, wasn't he, after that?
Yeah, really, really good. Obviously, very interesting the position that he's taken up. It seems to be doing the thing that Man City do with John Stones, where it's 4 at the back, but in possession, he comes into the midfield and makes it like a 3 and a 2 in front. And I think that's the way all the top European teams seem to be building up at the minute. It gives you triangles everywhere. You've always got an option. It makes you more difficult to press. Obviously, the game's gone a lot more towards the idea of pressing, I think, and having those triangles and having those options is really important. There were teething problems. There's no doubt about that. There definitely were teething problems. I thought Trent didn't see an awful lot of the ball first half hour. Looked a little bit lost. At times, he was an option, but he was never really getting on it. And I suppose when he's out there on the right hand side, he's quite difficult to mark. You can't really put a man right out there. You need to keep your shape quite centrally. And what it sort of became was like all of our threat was in the centre of the pitch, and it was easy just to close us in and do this, that, and the other. But I thought he really, really grew into the game, and it's an interesting one, that position, because for me, I'm looking at it now in the league table, we're 12 points behind top 4. So why wouldn't we try a few new things like that going into next season? Don't get me wrong, I still think we should try and win these last 9 games. If we do win them all, then we could be there or thereabouts. But why not try these things out? Try him in the 6, try him in the 8. I'm not convinced possibly that he can play in the 8, because I think he needs that sort of space in front of him to get his head up and pick a pass. I think he plays there. Is Stamford Bridge towards the end of the season, 3 or 4 years ago, and it just doesn't work, and he hasn't touched it since. And I think his long-term position probably still is at right back, but why not try these things out? We've got 9 games now, and then going into next season, we're absolutely certain what our best 11 is, where they're playing, and we can go from there. But the other thing, I suppose, it didn't help Salah, his new position, I don't think, because that triangle that Trent, Henderson and Salah always do on the right-hand side wasn't really there to the same extent. And you could see Gabriel was really, really tight to Salah all game. Now Salah got the better of him a couple of times. I actually think, notwithstanding the penalty, Salah had a really good game, but it's more difficult for him then. He doesn't have that option on the right-hand side. And I actually thought Jordan Henderson had a really, really good game, just recycling the ball and getting his foot on it and helping us out and being an option out there. And as I say, there's normally 3 of them. There were 2 of them for a hell of a lot of that game yesterday.
Do you know what, though? It's interesting because you can see now why our season's been such a catastrophe as well. Because do you remember early on in the season we were talking about this Trent position and Salah's position? Who was playing yesterday that facilitated both of those things?
It's Henderson, isn't it?
No, well, Henderson was playing at the beginning of the season. It's Konate.
Oh, sorry, right, yeah.
When you've got Konate at centre-half who can cover the space and get out to a wing, and he's quick enough to stay with them, and that one-on-one situation, you can afford Trent to dip into the midfield. At the beginning of the season, when Konate had that bizarre injury, he was out for 5 months or whatever it was, we had Matip and Gomez playing there, and Gomez is quick enough, but he's not smart enough. Matip's not quick enough or smart enough. So when you've got Trent ducking in field, and we didn't have the guy to cover him. Salah, if you think, I know what you're saying about those triangles and stuff, but in this new way, what you do with Salah is you make him go one-on-one with the centre-half, because when you tuck inside, the fullback's got to come in almost with you, like Zinchenko did. I know he kind of does that anyway, but if you watch the next game, if you play against Leeds and Trent tucks inside, you'll probably see the Leeds left-back having to almost come with him, and it exposes Salah 1v1 with a centre-half, and that's what you want.
What you want. Yeah, I get it.
So I get what you're saying, it's a bit different, but you can almost see now why we've been had such a bad season when the centre half that we were almost building our system around potentially has been missing half the year.